Delegate of
Prima facie.
Delegate is good for
Delegate, could you repeat your last word for the delegate committee? The last word.
prima facie. Prima facie refugees. You understand that?
The mass influx of refugees means that it cannot interview each refugee separately. The delegate of Kuwait believes that this will not be a very sensible measure because, as discussed in committee earlier, some refugees with special needs need to be prioritized. So if we do not understand why the refugees seeking asylum, we cannot process their applications effectively.
Any other questions? Oh, sorry.
No other comments? Seeing none, we will proceed to the next speaker. Delegate Portugal, you have to talk for 90 seconds.
Delegate of Portugal believes that there are many faults within the system that governs the rights of refugees. For instance, when countries such as Australia refuse the entry of refugees, calling it people smuggling, the delegate of Portugal finds it detrimental that refugees should come under people smuggling because these are people whose home countries cannot provide them any rights, and the Refugee Convention of 1951 stated that all refugees who don't cause public disruption and are not a great threat to the country, and as long as the country is capable, should be granted asylum. And so the HRC cannot enforce laws, but it can encourage them. So the delegate of Portugal urges that countries should not form laws that contradict the key beliefs of what the UN stands for, and it should not violate the refugees' rights to non-refoulement by deporting them and sending them back to their countries.
Point well noted, delegate. Considering you have about 30 seconds left, delegate, what do you read the type of delegate?
Any questions?
Question. You will accept. We will entertain two questions. Yes, delegate of Kuwait.
The delegate which mentioned the Australia system, which happens to be the Operation Sovereign Borders, which is specifically implemented to stop people smuggling. So now the delegate does understand that refugee crisis is a major problem for international society now, but how does the delegate of Portugal suggest that people smuggling, which has taken place in Australia along with refugees, be stopped? People smuggling comes under another category. It's when the people come illegally to get some sort of gain, some ulterior motives. Refugees have no rights, and such people should be granted asylum. Need to follow the question. Can I ask
Another question? Did she need the question?
Yeah.
You may ask another question.
How do you plan to differentiate between an illegal immigrant who is entering the country, people smuggling, and the person who is an actual refugee? Take a minute. Yeah, sure.
There is no cross-talking, and no, you will have to reply to her. No.
Can I have a minute now?
Okay.
Yes, delegate USA.
You will ask a question.
Delegate of Portugal, you stated that countries shouldn't make laws contradictory to the main mandate of the UN, where they should be accepting refugees, right? They should be accepting refugees. But then we've seen in Europe there have been a lot of cases where non-state actors have entered nations as refugees and sometimes carried out terrorist attacks. So we need these countries to protect themselves. They have to make such laws. So how do you say that they shouldn't make such laws?
No, I said not. They should grant asylum to people who do not have rights. To anti-state actors, can be recognized. There can be major security checks to see what they have. And it would be a good idea to enforce a law that prevents any of the refugees from getting any of their personal belongings or anything that they own. Because in that way, they can rebuild their life in the new country where they're seeking asylum. That would be better, that would be safer.
What else?
Delegate didn't answer.
And you delegate does not answer the delegate question.
Yes, answer 2 questions.
Yes, no, you have to answer a 3 to 4 questions.
Okay, so what I mentioned was there are many people, illegal migrants who enter a country dressed as refugees. We are not talking about anti-state activists here. We are just people who are smuggling into the countries who are not refugees, but just going to the country to gain benefits for their citizenship. So how do you plan to differentiate between those and actual refugees and people who are just going there to seek